American Midwest has always been the economic and political fulcrum of the nation. It still is, but for different reasons. It's a new Midwest now, but its economic and political clout is as great as ever, and especially in this 2020 election year. Here are 5 things you ought to know about the Midwest. First, there are 2 Midwests now, not just one. There's an old Midwest. That's what we got used to calling the Rust Belt. Major centers of that old Midwest, Detroit, Cleveland, Youngstown, they're struggling, they're trying, but they've got a long ways to go. In the meantime, there's a new Midwest, and it doesn't look much like the old Midwest. The new centers of this new Midwest are largely state capitals or university towns, places like Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, Des Moines, Madison. Second is this big thing called globalization. We used to say it's the economy, stupid. Now it's globalization. Globalization really undercut the old Midwest. It took away the jobs of the old Midwestern industrial centers through outsourcing, through trade, through automation, and left them behind. In their place are the new cities that have plugged into the global economy. Mostly they are led by people who understand what globalization is, and more to the point, understand where their cities fit into the global supply chain. 3, there are no more locomotives. In the old industrial Midwest, the industrial centers like Chicago, like Detroit and Cleveland, pulled the rest of the region behind them, almost like a locomotive pulling a train. They really needed the hinterlands, and the hinterlands blossomed in the shadow of these industrial centers. That's not true anymore. The new industrial centers, places like Minneapolis, Indianapolis, Columbus, certainly have plenty of vitality, but that vitality does not spread to the hinterlands, to the rest of their states or the rest of the region. Even a place like Chicago, which has tons of vitality, has not even been able to figure out how to spread that good stuff to the rest of its own city, let alone downstate Illinois or the rest of the Midwest. 4, where the jobs are. The old Midwest was driven by manufacturing and agriculture, and those 2 segments of the economy are still doing fine. They're producing more than they ever did, making more than they ever did, exporting more than they ever did, but they don't employ anywhere near as many people as they used to. The jobs these days are in the new centers in industries like energy, health, food, water, IT, and this is what is drawing people to these new centers. 5th, what this means for the election. Clearly, it's early days yet. But all the signs, everything we hear, is that the places that voted for Donald Trump in 2016, that is the old bombed out industrial cities and the rural areas, will vote for him again. These areas have not recovered since 2016. They've been left behind by this global economy. They're left behind by the new centers of power here in the Midwest, and they're feeling left behind and feeling angry. The new centers, the state capitals, the university towns, increasingly are voting Democratic. We saw that 2 years ago in the congressional elections, and there's no reason to think that will change. What this means, of course, is that the red-blue split, the urban-rural split, the split between the old Midwest and the new Midwest is greater than ever before.